Yo, if you're playing Marvel Rivals right now and you like to play as a healer class, might I recommend playing Loki? Loki is easily one of the best strategists in the game because he's so mischievous and you can easily confuse the enemy team. Using Loki in a match can actually be quite difficult, so make sure to get used to his abilities. And some of his abilities are Mystical Missile. This is his basic attack, and ultimately this is one of the attacks that you're going to be using majority of the time. His basic attack will damage the enemy team but also heal your allies. Then there's Doppelganger, which is basically where you're just going to be dropping clones of yourself. They're going to be so confused, but the really cool thing about this is the next skill, Devious Exchange. What this will allow you to do is actually switch and teleport into one of your clones. So if you're being attacked, you can actually get out of a near-death situation really quickly. Speaking of getting out of near-death situations and his clones, if you use the right-click option, you can actually go invisible, but you also leave a clone behind. This is also a great way to elude the enemy. If you're being targeted, you can just go invisible, leave a clone behind, or maybe you want to just go invisible and target the enemy and then switch back to the clone that you left behind. There's a lot of ways that you can play Loki here. A lot of them will involve a lot of thinking, a lot of strategic placement with your doppelgangers. One of the ways that I like to be strategic with my placements with Loki's doppelgangers is to be in the back line and throw one of my doppelgangers out in the middle near my tanks. And ultimately at this point you could actually drop the regeneration domain, which is going to allow your team to be like insta-healed. This is kind of like a nope button. Ultimately for like if you're about to die, it's just like a nope, you ain't dying. They kill the rune above the doppelganger though. That will take out the healing. Most people don't know that though. So yeah, what I like to do is enter the fight. I stay in the back lines as Loki, just hanging out, throwing out my doppelgangers. And while you have the doppelgangers out, you're going to be doing more healing. You're going to be doing more damage. Not to mention, if you throw one of your doppelgangers out kind of in the right behind your tanks where they got the line kind of held up, you can actually hit the regeneration domain whenever it seems like it's getting a little spicy up there in the fight and you might not be able to out heal the damage. Ultimately, the regeneration domain is going to be like the note button for them not dying. Kind of save it for the moments where it's like, okay, this is a little crazy. I don't know if we're going to make it through this. And ultimately hitting that usually helps us out, usually keeps the line held up and tanks healed and everything. So don't really have to worry about anything. Now it's really hard for the enemy team to even know who you are as long as you're not moving. Okay, this is the ultimate thing with Loki. They won't know which one's the real you if you're not moving. So I definitely recommend finding a spot, standing there as long as you're at a good angle to heal your team and hopefully damage the enemy team also. This is going to be super helpful because they're not going to know who to target. And if they can't find you, you're not going to die. So in the gameplay I've provided here, actually, we went 17-0 because they couldn't get through the line because I was healing them like crazy. Not to mention I was damaging them. We had a 17-0 kill streak here, ladies and gentlemen. I never died. Now, not dying on a strategist is usually an easy thing, right? Most people though, they can't really stay alive on strategists. They got people taking out the back lines. That brings me to his super. Okay, Loki's super is absolutely one of the best supers in the game because you can be whoever you want to be. You can use whoever super you want to counter the other team, and this is going to come in clutch. With Loki, you do have to think about a lot of things. You got to think about placement. You've got to think about how to elude the enemy, how to counter the enemies with your super. You got to think about a lot of things, and that's why he's actually up on the higher level of the difficulties, because there's a lot more things to think about when you're playing him. Now, I will say Loki does excel as a secondary healer, right? He's not exactly the best healer in the game, but he is one of the best at both things. His utility is absolutely out of this world. Ultimately, if you're using adaptive gameplay and strategic placing with his clones, you're gonna be dominating. These are my final thoughts, right? Loki is a unique character in this game. His ability to deceive and heal and deal damage makes him like literally one of the most valuable like characters in the game. He does have a high skill ceiling. It does take a little bit to learn how to play him and how to be strategic with the placements of your doppelgangers. However, once you do get this stuff down, you're gonna be unstoppable. You're gonna be a asset to the team. and you're literally going to have endless potential. Let me know your thoughts on Loki as a strategist. Do you think he's the best? Do you think he's the worst? Let me know in the comments section below. And until next time, guys, I will see you next video.